The Assembly will hear an address by His Excellency José Ulisses Correia Silva, Prime Minister and Minister of Reform of the Republic of Cabo Verde. May I request protocol to escort His Excellency. I have great pleasure in welcoming the Prime Minister of Cabo Verde and invite him to address the General Assembly.
Mr. President, Excellencies, it is a privilege for me, as a Cape Verdean, to salute you through the highest dignitaries, all peoples of the United Nations, representing here by the highest dignitaries. I address a special greeting to Secretary General Antonio Guterres and recognize how you have been leading and elevating the United Nations system to new heights in all areas, from human rights to peace, from the struggle against inequalities and injustice to sustainable development. I welcome the United Nations Bi-General Assembly the approval of a resolution on cooperation with CPLP, the Community of Portuguese Language Countries. Cape Verde congratulates Professor Tijani Muhammad Bande from Nigeria on his election as president on the 74th session. Professor Bande may count on the support of Cape Verde. We agree with him on the virtues of multilateral diplomacy in the service of peace and development. Cape Verde is a country with 5 excellencies. Cape Verde is a country with 559 years of history. 559 years of history. Our history is one of ambition, resilience, overcoming, and adaptation. We have lived for centuries in a country. We had hunger in the 40s. Today, we are much more resilient and face periods of drought, always with the assurance of food security. Since the late 17th century, we have immigrated for economic reasons, and today we have a vast diaspora in the US, Europe, and the African continent, which contributes to our economy and the presence of Cabo Verde in the world. We have advanced from a very poor country to a middle-income country, and today, in this generation, we legitimately aspire to development. We have always had a difficult yet passionate relationship with nature. Today, the good news is that the world and the major trends for the future value the resources found in Cabo Verde, which evoked trouble for past generations. The sea that our musicians and poets sang about as the path to immigration and longing has become an asset for the blue economy and tourism. The wind and the sun, which used to signal droughts, now produce renewable energy. Our location, distant from the rest of the world, is now an important resource, positioning Cabo Verde as a platform in the mid-Atlantic, connecting Africa to Europe, the US, and Brazil. We did not invent a new country. We adapted to living in it. We overcame the challenges and undertook a patriotic commitment to development with the conviction that no one will do for us that which we cannot do for ourselves to drive the structural changes that our country needs in order to develop. The most secure foundation for these changes to occur is political stability, good governance, and trust rooted in the rule of law and the integrity of our institutions. These are the most important assets that we in Cabo Verde are determined to preserve, care for, value, and improve. We face the same economical, social, and environmental challenges as all SIDS, small island developing states. Our main challenges are related to weather events and our condition as volcanic archipelago. The goal is not to grow out of less advanced country status and remain as a middle-income country under more penalizing financing and cooperation conditions. Our goal is to achieve development and high income. We thus require that the transition process has development as its goal and that financing mechanisms and conditions be coherent and consistent with such goal. The currently underway revision of the Samoa Pathway is an opportunity for us to accelerate actions that may help island nations to develop their economic competitiveness, promote social inclusion, foster resilience in their exposure to climate changes and other extreme events, as well as access judicious and sustainable financing. Mr. President, we welcome the vision that you have brought us and the theme that you have proposed for our general debate, galvanizing multilateral efforts for poverty eradication, quality education, climate action, and inclusion, without forgetting peace and security as essential conditions for these efforts to succeed. These are global issues that require local responses in a framework of global solidarity, as they have implications for global security in the broadest sense. Cabo Verde is implementing our strategic sustainable development plan, which is fully harmonized with the 2030 agenda. Cabo Verde adopts the cross-cutting gender equality and equity approach in our planning system, state budget, and public policies. Cabo Verde guarantees the right to education for all by universalizing and financing of preschool education, providing free access to and attendance in basic and secondary education, and responding to special education needs. Cabo Verde has invested in social protection and care for the most vulnerable segments of our society, such as children, the elderly, and people with disabilities. Cabo Verde bets on autonomy and self-sufficiency for families through policies that promote job creation, entrepreneurship, and productive inclusion. Cabo Verde is implementing a water and energy transition strategy aimed at reducing reliance on rainwater and fossil fuels and improving people's economic conditions to access water and energy. We introduced the first seawater desalinator 50 years ago. Today, 70% of the population in Cabo Verde uses desalinated water for consumption. In coming years, as a result of current investments, we will reach 90%. We are implementing strategies to diversify sources of water for agriculture through desalination, reuse of wastewater, and the dissemination of drip irrigation together with renewable energies. We are implementing an energy transition strategy in order to reduce our reliance on fossil fuels. From the current level of 20%, our goal is to reach 30% of power production from renewable sources by 2025, exceed 50% by 2030, and reach 100% renewable by 2040. We are the first African country to join the Transport Decarbonization Alliance. As part of our energy transition strategy, we intend to gradually replace by 2050 all internal combustion vehicles with electrical vehicles. This is our modest contribution to the reduction of greenhouse gas emissions in transportation. Excellencies, Cabo Verde has demonstrated our alignment, commitment, and credibility with respect to the broader ideals of the United Nations. We wish to position Cabo Verde as a useful interlocutor in promoting dialogue, peace and tolerance among nations, and as a credible ally for cooperative security against transnational crimes such as drug trafficking, trafficking in persons, and terrorism. We are taking all steps to implement the 17 goals of the 2030 Agenda in an effort in involvement with the government, companies, civil society organizations, as well as international partners. We want an even greater commitment in order to achieve developed status, which is our ultimate goal. For the United Nations, which will celebrate 75 years of existence in 2020, and for each country individually, this is a great moment to accelerate our actions towards the achievement of the SDGs if we actually wish to leave no one behind and achieve one of the more humanistic goals of the 2030 Agenda. Time is short, and we need concrete actions to reverse the direction and the breadth of climate change. Time is short, and we must implement effective responses to the challenge of poverty and its consequences. Time is short, and we must undertake commitments to peace. This generation of political players does not have all the time in the world and must be accountable to humanity. The time has arrived for us to move beyond intentions. It is time for us to undertake concrete, measurable, and committed actions to fulfill the aspirations of our peoples and our global needs. It is time to improve the world. Thank you for your attention. God bless.
On behalf of the General Assembly, I wish to thank the Prime Minister of Cabo Verde for the statement just made, and I request protocol to escort His Excellency.